What's going on, guys? Jagira here, and today I'm going to be giving my Guardian Druid talent review for Mythic Plus for the pre-patch and going into Shadowlands. So let's jump into it. On the level 15 row, the one I will pick here is Blood Frenzy. Thrash will generate 2 rage each time it deals damage. This is very nice. Now, the way Thrash will work is you strike, you generate 5 rage, and then it will leave a dot on the target. Now, when it says here, each time Thrash deals damage, this doesn't mean the original tick. So if I go to dummy here and just make sure, yep, don't hit that one. You'll see here my Thrash bar, well, my rage bar, 5. And then when it ticks, 7. So it isn't the initial hit that will be generating the extra rage, but the dot that goes after. Now, of course, this will stack for as many targets there is around. So that was 1. If I strike all 3, you'll see I'll be generating a lot more rage due to it. Now, the other talent here that I could recommend picking is Brambles. Now, as you can see here, Brambles will protect you, and it will also be reflecting the damage from each attack. This is melee, ranged, magical. Any attack, you will reflect damage. And while Barkskin is active, Brambles will also deal pulsing damage around you. Personally, I would take this if you are suffering with threat issues. The way that Barkskin is now on a 1-minute cooldown, as you can see, it's pretty good. You know, it's pulsing damage. It's going to help keep in threat. Not that I really feel a geared Guardian has much issue keeping threat, but you know, it's just something that you can experiment with. But by default, I will always stick with Blood Frenzy. Bristling Fur, not really going to touch on. By the way, if I don't touch on a talent here, which you guys pick, that doesn't mean that it's bad by any sense. It's just, it isn't my preferred talent to take. Now, on the level 25 row, I will always pick Wild Charge. Why? Because movability is key. Mobility is key. I like the fact that in bear form you get a charge. So say you get knocked back and you want to get to that pack straight away. Instead of wasting your kick, which is Skull Bash, it's a bit of a pseudo charge, you can use Wild Charge to get back there quicker. That's really it, really. Obviously, you can see here you've got a non-shapeshift form, a cat form, a travel form, and aquatic form. In the Mythic Plus world, you're not really going to be utilising any of those forms. Maybe you, in some dungeon, can go into travel form and then jump faster to get closer to a pack. Yeah, otherwise, it's not. You're going to be only really using this in bear form. You go out of bear form, that's when you're going to end up dying, and dying is bad, because bad things happen when you die. Other than that, there is an argument for renewal. So if you're in a dungeon that doesn't require any mobility at all, you know, I'm thinking something like Workshop off the top of my head. Very linear. There's not really any knockaways apart from the last boss, but say for example you're struggling with healing, your healer's not up to gear, you can bring renewal. I still personally would go with Wild Charge, but renewal is a choice there should you want it. It's pretty good, as you can see, 30% of your maximum health on a 1.5 minute cooldown. Ain't bad. So yeah, you can always experiment with that. Tiger's Dash, this just replaces our dash with a more improved dash, but I mean, if I'm going to go for mobility, I will go for Wild Charge over Tiger's Dash because it will shift you into cat form. As I said earlier, being out of bear form is basically death, and we don't like death. Level 30, this is our Affinity row for every single Druid out there. By default, Restoration Affinity. Ysera's Gift as a passive is very lovely, as you can imagine. Heals you for 3% of your maximum health every 5 seconds, and if you're at a full, it will help heal another injured party member. You'll also get Rejuvenation, Swiftmend, Wild Growth, and Ursul's Vortex. The heal part of this, or the healing spells you are given, I really wouldn't... I mean, they're not bad. I mean, maybe like getting a rejuvenation on you as long as a regrowth, is decent. ever since the nerf that was done to Swiftmend, where it now requires a previous heal over time on the target before you can use it, I don't like it. Back in BFA, you know, say you're using the Waycrest Manor with the witches, Sister, I believe it's Briere, who will put the nasty damage over time on someone and they have to get up to 90% health. I like to shift out of bear form, quickly pop this on, then go back into bear form just to also help the healer get that off. But yeah, you're mainly taking Restoration Affinity for Urstal's Vortex. Now you can see here, that is beautiful. Conjure the Vortex of Wind for 10 seconds at the destination, reducing the movement speed of all enemies within 8 yards by 50%. For the first time an enemy attempts to leave the Vortex, winds will pull that enemy back to the centre. It's usable in all shapeshift forms. Once again, you're going to mainly be using this in bear form. On a 1 minute cooldown, it's very powerful. You've got mobs that like to run away. You can lock them down because, I mean, we've all had it when there's been a mob. It's got a DOT on it. As it runs off, it runs into another pack of mobs, dies, and God forbid it's a bolstering weak because you've just opened yourself up to a lot of pain then. Urstal Vortex, great at keeping things locked down. Another argument would be Balance Affinity. Now, Balance Affinity, I would say, is the weaker of the two here, but you increase the range of all abilities by 3 yards. So, I mean, here, 8 yard range on Thrash, that will be an 11 yard range with the Balance Affinity selected. You will also get Typhoon, which is on a 30-second cooldown and will knock targets back. If I can just... hold on. Where is it? I do like how they've done this. There we go. Alright. There you go. Blast a target of within 18 yards in front of you with a violent typhoon, knocking them back and dazing them for 6 seconds, usable in all shapes and forms. Very good at interrupting mobs that couldn't be interrupted with a normal kick. A good example here would be in King's Rest. When you go to the room with the 4 zombies, there's that king who does his lightning. As he starts his lightning, you can go poof, and it would cancel it out. Lovely, and on a 30-second cooldown, it's up a lot more often than Urstal's Vortex. I say that you could probably pick this on a week where you need to kite, or there's a dungeon you need to kite a lot with, because something such as a necrotic. You want to make sure the targets aren't hitting you because you don't want necrotic stacks, because that's never nice. Using Balance Affinity will allow you to keep the distance, along with the fact that we can now put infected wounds on a target with a mangle. Movement speed is reduced by 50%. You're going to be very, very good at kiting. But once again, default, I'd recommend the Restoration Affinity. On to the level 35 row. I will usually pick Mass Entanglement here. Reason being, I usually run with a group who have loads of stuns. You'll have rogues, paladins. Trying to think of the other one with stuns. It's escaped me, but there are many stuns out there. And I like Mass Entanglement. It has a little bit of a good niche to it. You are able to lock down a pack. Now, if I just go back into bear form, because once again, you can use this in bear form. For 30 seconds, they are locked down if they could move, but they can't move. It's very good with a patrol. You don't want mobs to get towards you while you're killing another pack. In Temple of Cephralis, you've got those guardians trying to get the orb back as you're trying to put it into the snake skull. Mass Entanglement, hold them down. If you've got Restoration Druid in your group, they will usually have Mass Entanglement, in which case, I'd recommend Mighty Bash. Issue with Mighty Bash is it's on a diminishing return. So the more stuns that are used, the less effective it will be. But, I mean, hey, if you've already got Mass Entanglement with a Restoration Druid in your group, Mighty Bash is a very tempting offer. Once again, it's another interrupt. Well, it's a stun, but it can interrupt, and that on itself is lovely and powerful. Heart of the Wild, I will not take, mainly because it's the abilities associated with your chosen affinity are empowered for 45 seconds, and this is once every 5 minutes. And if you're on the restoration one, which is by default, which we'll be picking, you've got to come out of bear form to cast. And as I've said earlier, and I will keep reiterating, if you go out of bear form, 9 times out of 10 that's instant death. You've got a nasty DOT on you, it will kill you. You've got a nasty anything coming towards you, it will kill you. And we don't like dying. So the choice here is mainly between Mass Entanglement and Mighty Bash. On the level 40 row, Incarnation. I love Incarnation a lot. It's an improved form of the Berserk. Only difference here is it causes Mangle Tit up to 3 targets, whereas I believe normal Berserk doesn't. Let me just have a little quick check. Yep. So this will cause Mangle Tit up to 3 targets. Once again, Mangle and Maul will apply infected wounds, causing slows, which allows you to kite, which is great stuff. Increases your maximum health by 30%. It lasts 30 seconds, whereas normal Berserk will only last 15 seconds. I like this because 30% extra health is going to be great at dealing with magic damage. And they will be having loads of magic damage coming in Shadowlands in those dungeons. Lasts for 30 seconds, so obviously it lasts longer. So by the time it runs out, you've only got 2.5 minutes to wait until you can next use it again. Now, the reason I like to pick this, actually, before I go on, Galactic Guardian. There is an argument for Galactic Guardian. One, does a load of damage. Whenever any damage you've got, right, so that is your thrash stacks, that's your swiping, that is even the Moonfire, has a 5% chance to trigger an automatic Moonfire on that target. And then when this occurs, your next Moonfire will do a 300% increased damage. Now that's the direct damage, that does not mean the DOT that follows, and it generates 8 rage. It's good, it definitely isn't bad. I do like this, but I personally will always default to Guardian of Ursoc. I feel more comfortable using this one. Once again, if you're more than happy to use Galactic Guardian, more power to you. Soul of the Forest, if anything, this is going to be more of a raid talent, like a very sort of single target focused one. Though I do believe Galactic Guardian may pull ahead on the Sims with that. But yeah, I wouldn't touch Soul of the Forest if you're going into dungeons. It ain't good. These two, that's where you're going to hit the nice sweet spot. At level 45 and level 50, I'm going to wrap these two together because these two synergize really well. Earth Warden on the level 45. When you deal direct damage with Thrash, you will gain a charge of Earth Warden, reducing the damage of the next auto attack that you will take by 30%. All for Earth Warden may have up to 3 charges. So we'll go up to these 3 mobs here. Swipe. As you can see here, damage of the next auto attack you take will be reduced by 30%. Very, very powerful. So you've got a large pack of mobs. They're auto-attacking you. Thrash, their next auto-attack will be reduced by 30%. Rend and Tear. Well, I'll go over the other ones here, but Rend and Tear on level 50. Each stack of Thrash reduces the target's damage they deal to you by 2% and increases the damage you do to them by 2%. This stacks up to 6% damage reduced and up to 6% damage increased. Now, these 3... that's the new Holy Trinity for Guardian Druid. Well, it's been there for a while, but it's my Holy Trinity. You pop Guardian of Ursoc. You've got a large pack of mobs. You can just absolutely spam Thrash to your heart's content. Well, you used to be a bit better. At level 58, they're going to give you the improved form. And this will allow you to get tons and tons and tons of Earth Wardens. Now obviously you can only have 3 stacks, but if you've got a large pack, that's a lot of auto attacks coming your way. A load of auto attacks coming your way, but you keep thrashing, you're going to keep that Earth Warden up almost non-stop throughout the entire pool. Survival of the Fittest. There is an argument here. You're in a dungeon and most of the stuff there is going to be magical based. You could select this. because obviously it reduces the cooldown of bark, skin and survival instincts. Now these are our like flat percentage reductions. So you can see here 20%, 50%. You got these on a cooldown. Hold on, back into bear form. 2-minute cooldown, 40-second cooldown. Pretty good. You'll always basically have bark skin up for almost every major pack, and survival instincts for when it gets really hairy, but by default I will stick with Earth Warden. And now I would like to talk about the legendaries going into Shadowlands, because the legendaries are some of the reasons why I have picked these talents. Legendaries are obviously making it's got a nice little boomy just going crazy over there. Legendaries are going to be a major part of Shadowlands, and now the two that I'm loving the look of at the moment is Ursoc's Fury Remembered, which is every time you deal damage with a thrash, you get a chance to trigger an automatic thrash, and 75% of the damage that thrash deals is converted to an absorb shield. Now, absorption is wonderful. It goes on top of our HP, so even if you're at 100% HP, you're going to get that shield stacking. Argument's sake, you've got 100 HP. Shield adds 50, you've got 150. It's lovely. We love that. That's the one major legendary that I would recommend for any Guardian Druid going into Mythic Plus. Now, if Shadowlands works out like it did with Legion, when we was allowed to have 2 legendaries, I'd also like to raise the point of Legacy of the Sleeper, if I get the name correct. This, while we're in Berserk, and it also works with the Guardian of Ursoc, because obviously Guardian of Ursoc will replace Berserk. Damage is increased by 25%. Leech is increased by 15%. You're immune to loss of movement effects. But the fact of your damage is increased while in Berserk. While you're in Berserk, you're going to be spamming thrash. You're going to have a more powerful thrash. The more powerful thrash you've got, 75% of that increased damage is going to be a shield. Absolutely wonderful. This is the stuff that we love. And these are, I do pray that we get both these legendaries, or we can equip both these legendaries. Oh, and Legacy of the Sleeper will also reduce the cooldown of Berserk by 30 seconds. So, this here, for example, would be a 2.5-minute cooldown, lasts for 30 seconds. By the time Incarnation wears off, it's a 2-minute cooldown before you can use it again. If we can use both, Bear will be absolute God mode in Mythic Plus. I cannot wait for it. But anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up my video on the talents that I picked for the Guardian Druid for Mythic Plus. If you did enjoy this video, please let me know by leaving a like. If you'd like to go and see more videos on Guardian Druid, whether that be for raids, Mythic Plus, PvP, please let me know in the comments down below if you've got any questions. Also, please put it down in the comments below. Feel free to join the Discord. Active over there. Feel free to ask me any questions and I will answer them to the best of my ability. Once again, guys, I thank all of you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. That's absolutely wonderful. And yeah, I will see all you lovely people next time. So take care and bye-bye.